Hello my dear students, today we are going to study the Bernoulli's principle. So, for deriving the equation for Bernoulli principle, here we have considered the fluid which is ideal fluid. As I have told you, ideal fluid which is incompressible, which is non-viscous and it is irrotational. Clear? These are the properties of ideal fluid that must be satisfied. Based on that, we can say our fluid is ideal one. So, for deriving the equation of Bernoulli principle, let us consider one figure first. So, here I am drawing the figure first of all. Suppose here we have consider one pipe as shown in figure having this distance is h1 and this distance to be considered as h2, right? And this distance h1 and h2 are from the ground level. Now let's consider the another cross sectional in the pipe as shown in figure. Here also we have considered one another cross sectional of pipe. Now this point is B, C, D and E. Clear? Now here the area of this cross sectional is A1 and pressure is P1. Similarly, area of this cross sectional is A2 and pressure is P2, right? Now at point B, so here we will consider this point B and point D. So what we have at point B of left end of pipe, so we have different notations. Fluid speed, which is V1, then cross sectional area, that is A1, and finally pressure exert on fluid, which is P1 and which is given by equation F1 by A1. In similar way, at point D, right end of pipe, now here we can see the fluid speed that we can consider, which is V2, then cross sectional area, which is A2, and in similar way pressure exert or pressure exerted on fluid, which is P2 and it is given by equation F2 by A2, right? Now what will happen here? If the fluid is passing from this point at point B, or if the fluid is also passing from point C, what will happen? Force F1 is exerted on the fluid at point B. I repeat, if the fluid is passing from point B, then what will happen? Force F1 is exerted on the fluid at point B. So I am writing over here force F1 which is equal to P1 into A1 exerts on the fluid at point B. So, if the force is exerted, then what will happen? This fluid which covers the distance which is V1 delta T. So, here we can see if the force F1 is applied on this side, if the fluid is traveling or it covers the distance, then the equation for distance become which is V1 into delta T. So, this much of distance from this point to this point, this much of distance is covered and it is given by V1 into delta T. And similar way here, this distance is V2 into delta T. Clear? Now, so here at point B, it covers distance V1 delta T and reaches at point C, and here it reaches at point C. So, if the force is applied, then there is also the work done on the fluid. So, what will be the work done on fluid? The work done on fluid, which is W1, which is force into displacement. This is the equation for work done, force into displacement, and we have already the equation for force F1. So from this equation we can write F1 equal to P1 into A1. So force F1 which is P1 into A1, and for displacement, so we can write in case of displacement which is V1 delta T. Instead of displacement we can write in the form of velocity and time delta T. So V1 into delta T is nothing but it is displacement. Now, so if we simplify this equation, so this is P1 in bracket A1 into velocity V1 into time delta T, then this A1 V1 into delta T, which is nothing but it is change in volume. So P1 into delta V1. So this is the equation for work done W1, which is the work done on fluid. Right. Now, in similar way, fluid, if the fluid at point D covers the distance V2 delta T, here we can see fluid at point D which covers the distance V2 delta T and reaches at point E, and work done by the fluid, here I am writing fluid at point D covers distance V2 delta T and reaches at point E. Now in that case, the work done by the fluid, which is W2, but if the fluid is at this position at point E, then what will happen? It tries to develop the force in this direction. Here at point B, the force which is in this direction, and here the force which is in this direction. Means in both the side the direction of force is opposite. So here the value of work done or work done here we will get, which is also negative. Keep in mind. So work done W2, which is minus P2 into A2 into V2 into delta T, and from this work done, which is P2 into delta V, change in volume. Clear? And one more thing, here we have considered this fluid is steady fluid. That's why the volume at this point means on the left hand side and the volume on the right hand side means both have the same value. Means here we can consider delta V1 equal to delta V2 equal to what? Delta V. So now the total work done, here we have the value of W1 and value of W2. So the total work done on the fluid, which is W equal to what? W1 plus W2, and we have the equation for W1, which is P1 into delta V1. So W1, which is P1 into delta V1, and here we can see delta V1 equal to delta V2 equal to delta V. So P1 delta V minus equation for W2, which is P2 into again delta V. So finally P1 minus P2 into delta V, this is the equation for work done, total work done, right? So total work done, which is P1 minus P2 into delta V. Now what will happen? The part of work goes changing here, the part of work which is goes changing into the kinetic energy, and part of work which is goes changing into the gravitational potential energy. So here I am writing part of this work goes into changing kinetic energy of the fluid, and part goes into changing gravitational potential energy. Now we know, so according to that, what will be the equation for W, total work done, in the form of kinetic energy and potential energy? The equation becomes W equal to delta K plus delta U, change in kinetic energy and change in potential energy, which is the total work done W. Now we know in equation of kinetic energy we have half mv square, and in case of potential energy we have the equation mgh. So in both the equation we have common term, which is mass. So first of all, let's derive the equation for mass. So mass flowing fluid, the mass flowing fluid of density rho at time delta t. So here we will consider change in mass, which is delta m, which is we know, which is volume into density. We know the equation for density rho, which is m by v, and from that we can write the equation for delta m. Now delta m equal to density, which is rho, and the fluid is ideal one, so the value of rho is constant, so rho into delta v. This is the equation for change in mass. Now this fluid when moves from B to D, here in figure if this fluid move from B to D, then its velocity becomes V1 to V2. Hence the change in kinetic energy. So here we want the change in equation for delta K and delta U. So change in kinetic energy, which is delta K, equal to half m, m means delta m into V2 square minus V1 square. This is the equation for delta K. So if we simplify, or we can put rho into delta V in place of delta m, then equation becomes half rho into delta V in bracket V2 square minus V1 square. So this is the equation for change in kinetic energy. Now in similar way, here we have the height h1 and h2. Here we can see at left hand side the height is h1 and on right hand side the height is h2. And due to this difference in height, what we have? We have also the potential energy. So change in potential energy which is delta U, and equation for change in potential energy which is mg, and this is m is change in mass which is delta m. Delta mg h2 minus h1. This will be the equation, and if we simplify this, then what we'll have? We have delta m into g into h2 minus h1. Now here delta m, which is equal to rho into delta v into g h2 minus h1. So this is the change in potential energy delta U. Now we know the equation for total work done W, which is W1 plus W2, and here we have the equation for total work done W, which is delta K plus delta U. So now addition of these two, what we have? Now here adding delta K plus delta U, and we have also the equation for total work done W, which is P1 minus P2 into delta V. Now we can also equate, so adding delta K plus delta U and equating both equations of work done, what we have? So here we can write P1 minus P2 into delta V. So this is the equation for total work done. Here it is, right? And again, which is equal to what? Half rho V. Here we have delta K, so half rho delta V in bracket V2 square minus V1 square, and potential energy, which is rho into delta V into G in bracket H2 minus H1. So here from equation we can see delta V is common, so we can cancel out it. So delta V is cancel out from both the side. So final equation will be like P1 minus P2, which is equal to half rho V2 square minus V1 square plus rho G into H2 minus H1, and finally P1 minus P2. If we simplify this equation, P1 minus P2 equal to half rho V2 square minus half rho V1 square plus rho G H2 minus rho G H1, and finally P1 plus half rho V1 square, P1 plus half rho V square, rho V1 square plus rho G H1. If we will take these two terms on this side, left hand side, then equation will be like P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G H1 equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho G H2. So this equation is called Bernoulli's equation. This equation is called Bernoulli's equation, right? Or in general form, in general we can write equation is P plus half rho V square plus rho GH, which is equal to constant, right? So in other words, we can write Bernoulli's equation. So what we have? So as moving along a streamline, the sum of pressure or you can say sum of pressure energy, sum of pressure, the kinetic energy per unit volume which is half rho V square, and potential energy per unit volume means which is rho GH remains constant, right? So we can state the Bernoulli's principle like this. Clear? As moving along a streamline, the sum of pressure, the kinetic energy per unit volume and potential energy per unit volume remains constant. So this is our Bernoulli's principle, and we have to derive the equation for Bernoulli's principle. After deriving Bernoulli's equation, the next one is what is the limitations of Bernoulli theorem. There are certain limitations of Bernoulli's theorem that we have to study over here. So mainly there are two limitations for Bernoulli's theorem. The first one is limitation of Bernoulli's theorem. So as we have discussed, there are mainly two limitations of Bernoulli's theorem. The first one is, here we will get the equation of Bernoulli by applying the energy conservation principle, right? It means there is no loss in energy due to friction, right? But in fact it is not possible. When the fluid flows, some energy does get lost due to internal friction. Clear? So I am writing over here, this theorem is obtained by applying the energy conservation principle. Energy conservation principle, right? Means there is a assumption that no energy is lost due to friction, but practically when fluids flow, some energy lost due to internal friction, right? So this is the first limitations of Bernoulli's principle. In fact, viscous forces acting between different layers, right? In the fluid there are different layers are possible, layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 up to layer n, right? So in that case, between the consecutive layer there is also the viscous force is possible, and due to this the friction forces on each other resulting in a loss of energy. So this is first limitation, and second one is, for applying Bernoulli's theorem the fluid must be incompressible, right? If you want to derive the equation for Bernoulli's principle, the fluid must be incompressible, density is constant throughout. So for applying Bernoulli's theorem, the fluid must be incompressible. So this is second limitation of Bernoulli's principle. Now the next one is obtain the Bernoulli's equation of rest fluid. Obtain Bernoulli's equation of rest fluid. So for obtaining the Bernoulli's equation for rest fluid, keep in mind we have already derived the Bernoulli equation for moving fluid. So equation for Bernoulli is P1 plus half rho V1 square plus rho G H1 equal to P2 plus half rho V2 square plus rho G H2. This is equation for Bernoulli. And if we want to derive the same equation for of rest fluid, then when fluid is at rest, so what will happen? Its velocity at every point is 0. Its velocity at every point is 0. Keep in mind, if the fluid is at rest, so obviously the velocity at every point is 0. It means V1 equal to 0 and V2 equal to 0. So put the V1 equal to 0 and V2 equal to 0 in this equation, then the equation becomes P1 plus this equation, this term is 0 because here velocity V1 is there and P1 equal to 0. So equation is P1 plus rho g h1 equal to, this term is also 0. So P2 plus rho g h2, and finally P1 minus P2, which is equal to what? Rho g h2 minus rho g h1 equal to rho g into h2 minus h1. So this is the equation P1 minus P2 equal to rho g into h2 minus h1 for fluid which is in rest condition, right? Now, why the Bernoulli's equation does not apply to unsteady or turbulent flow? So next small question, which is why Bernoulli's equation does not apply to unsteady or turbulent flow. So the very simple answer for this question, which is in case of unsteady flow or in case of turbulent flow, the velocity and pressure constantly changes with time, right? So here Bernoulli's equation cannot be applied to turbulent flow because in this flow, turbulent flow as well as in unsteady flow, in this flow velocity and pressure constantly changes with time, right? So we cannot apply the Bernoulli's equation for unsteady or turbulent flow. Now the next one is limitations. Which are the different limitations of Bernoulli's equation? So first one is fluid must be non-viscous. The first one is fluid must be non-viscous, means in between consecutive layers of fluid there is no friction force applicable. So this is first limitation. Second one is fluid must be incompressible. Fluid must be incompressible. Incompressible means the value of density is constant throughout the flow of fluid. Third one is flow of fluid must be streamlines. Must be streamline, means there is no turbulent flow possible. And the last one, which is fourth one, which is flow of fluid must be irrotational. Here, so these are the four different limitations of Bernoulli's equation. Now the next one is use of Bernoulli's equation. Which are the different use, or you can say applications of Bernoulli's principle. So we have different uses. The first one is in Venturi meters. So Venturi meters works on the principle of Bernoulli. The second one is autonomizer or spray pump. Spray pump, which is also operated on the principle of Bernoulli's theorem. The third one, which is dynamic lift on aerofoils of an aeroplane. And the last one, which is path of spin ball becomes parabolic. So these are the mainly four different uses of Bernoulli's principle.